In a faraway land, nestled between violet hills and silver rivers, stood a castle made of moonlight stone and carved rosewood. It was surrounded by wild gardens, where magnolia trees kissed the sky, and white doves nested in the vines that clung to the turrets. This was Aurelian Castle, home to a princess unlike any other, Princess Elira. Elira did not crave crowns, nor did she chase courtly affairs. Her passion was fashion from forgotten times. She lived surrounded by vintage dresses, each one a story wrapped in silk, sewn with pearls, embroidered with whispers of old magic. At the heart of the castle, hidden behind a mirror that only opened with Elira's laughter, was the room of dresses. It stretched on forever, lit by soft golden lanterns and the glow of enchanted windows that showed scenes from centuries past. Elira had dresses from every era and every corner of the old kingdoms, and every morning she chose her gown like one might choose a dream. Today, she wore a champagne-colored ball gown from the Age of Roses, with off-shoulder sleeves that floated like petals, a fitted corset beaded with pearl dust, and a skirt that swept the ground in waves of satin and antique lace. The bodice was hand-stitched with little silver vines that shimmered when she moved. In her mirror, she spun slowly, her curls pinned with old cameo clips, her lips painted the color of crushed berries. She didn't dress for others. She dressed for the story she wanted to live that day. One spring morning, as Elira walked through the garden in a Regency gown of lavender silk, with tiny violet ribbons at her wrists and a train trimmed in mother-of-pearl buttons, she heard music, software intricate, not from the castle. Following it beyond the orchard, past the weeping willow pond, she found a young man sitting on a stone, playing a violin carved from dark cherry wood. He looked up, startled, his eyes a soft brown that glowed like sun through tea. "Oh," he said, blinking. "I thought this place was abandoned." "It is, to most," she smiled, tilting her head. "But I live here, and you play beautifully." His name was Thane, a traveler and musician from the valley who had lost his way chasing a melody. Elira offered him tea in the rose garden. He stayed for hours and returned the next day, and the next. As the days passed, Thane returned each afternoon, and Elira wore a new dress for him every time, though she never told him that. One day, a 1930s tea dress, ivory with tiny polka dots and flutter sleeves. Another, a late 1800s Parisian gown, all navy velvet, a high neck trimmed with jet beads, her waist cinched delicately with a golden ribbon. One rainy morning, she met him in a flapper dress, black silk with fringe, that danced when she walked, her hair in soft waves beneath a beaded headband. "Your dresses are like fairy tales," Thane said once, as she spun in a blue chiffon number stitched with antique sapphire sequins. "Like they have lives of their own?" She only smiled, because they did. Eventually, she led him to the room of dresses. His breath caught when he stepped inside. "These aren't just garments," he said, eyes wide. "They're stories." "Yes," Elira whispered. "Some belong to princesses, others to artists, spies, dreamers. I wear them and I feel their lives like soft echoes." "Do you ever feel trapped by them?" he asked gently. Elira hesitated. "Sometimes. It's like I live 100 stories but never finish my own." Thane reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. "Then let me help you write it." And for the first time, Elira felt something no dress had ever given her. Something real. Something now. She stood before the mirror that night in a gown she'd never worn. It was crafted from white silk organza, light as air with bell sleeves and an empire waist tied with a ribbon of pale gold. The skirt was layered with fine lace petals that fell like snowflakes when she moved. It was a dress made not from the past, but from possibility. The next morning, she stepped out of the castle wearing the white gown, her hand in Thane's. She didn't take all her dresses, just a few. The rest remained, waiting for another dreamer someday. They traveled to villages, kingdoms, and coasts. Thane played music beneath the stars. Elira opened a little boutique in the heart of a bustling city, filled with dresses inspired by memory and magic. And together, they lived stories of their own making, waking up in warm sheets, dancing in the rain, laughing through flower fights in their small kitchen. Years later, Elira still wore her vintage gowns. She wore a gold lame dress to her wedding, its sleeves flowing like liquid light. She wore a forest green velvet gown the day they adopted their little girl, who quickly developed a love for petticoats and pearls.